Welcome back to Days. Today we will learn about the devastating news that has sent shockwaves throughout the Salem fanbase. Brandon Barash's definitive move to Nashville has officially sealed the fate of Stefan DiMera's return to our beloved soap opera. This monumental decision represents far more than just a simple relocation. It's the final nail in the coffin for any hopes of seeing the charismatic Stefan DiMera grace our screens again. The Nashville revelation that changes everything. The bombshell revelation came through Brandon Barash's own Instagram stories, where he shared a breathtaking photograph of his new Nashville backyard, complete with a dramatic rainbow painting the sky. The image, while beautiful, carries with it the weight of finality for Days of Our Lives fans who have been desperately hoping for Stefan's return. "This Nashville sky is so beautiful to see from our new backyard," Barash wrote, unknowingly delivering what many consider to be the death blow to Stefan DiMera's future in Salem. This cross-country move represents a calculated and permanent shift away from the soap opera world that once defined Barash's career. The geographical distance between Nashville and the Los Angeles-based Days of Our Lives production facility creates an insurmountable barrier that makes any potential return virtually impossible. Industry insiders understand that soap opera schedules require actors to be readily available for last-minute script changes, emergency rewrites, and intensive filming schedules, luxuries that simply cannot be accommodated with a 2,000-mile separation. The devastating aftermath of his DOOL firing. The roots of this permanent exodus trace back to October 2024, when Brandon Barash was unceremoniously dismissed from Days of Our Lives after 5 years of bringing Stefan DiMera to life. The firing wasn't just a professional setback, it was described by Barash himself as a gut punch that fundamentally altered his relationship with the show's production team. The actor revealed in candid interviews that he knew exactly what was happening the moment he was summoned to the executive office, describing the experience as both shocking and deeply hurtful. What makes this situation particularly damaging to any potential return is Barash's explicit admission that he has lost that ability to trust that team. This isn't merely professional disappointment. It's a fundamental breakdown in the working relationship that typically governs soap opera casting decisions. When an actor publicly declares their lack of trust in a production team, it creates an almost irreparable rift that extends far beyond contractual negotiations. The circumstances surrounding his dismissal were particularly brutal, as Barash was allegedly terminated while still under contract, with the decision being attributed entirely to the writer's room rather than any performance-related issues. This type of abrupt, mid-contract firing creates lasting resentment and professional wariness that rarely heals, especially when combined with a complete geographical relocation to another state. A strategic co-parenting alliance that prioritizes family over career. The Nashville move wasn't an impulsive decision but rather a carefully orchestrated co-parenting strategy developed in collaboration with his ex-wife, General Hospital star Kirsten Storms. Their joint relocation plan, discussed as early as January 2025, demonstrates a level of commitment to their daughter Harper that supersedes any potential career opportunities in Los Angeles. This family-first approach, while admirable, effectively eliminates any possibility of Barash maintaining the flexible schedule required for soap opera work. Storms herself fiercely defended their coordinated move, emphasizing that neither of us would ever have moved without Harper's other parent on board for the move as well. This united front creates a support system that's geographically incompatible with the demanding world of daytime television production. The presence of Barash's new family, wife Isabella Devoto and their son Joaquin, further cements Nashville as their permanent home base, making any temporary returns to Los Angeles increasingly unlikely. The co-parenting arrangement also includes Harper's integration into Nashville's school system and social environment, creating additional layers of commitment that extend far beyond Barash's individual career considerations. When children's educational and social stability becomes intertwined with a relocation decision, it transforms from a temporary move into a permanent lifestyle change. The industry reality check. The soap opera industry operates on razor-thin margins and demanding production schedules that leave little room for accommodation of long-distance talent. Days of Our Lives, like most daytime dramas, requires actors to be available for same-day script revisions, emergency scenes, and the rapid-fire filming schedule that keeps production costs manageable. Nashville's geographic separation from Los Angeles creates logistical nightmares that production companies simply cannot afford to navigate. Furthermore, Barash's vocal criticism of his firing and his admitted loss of trust in the production team have likely burned bridges that extend throughout the industry's relatively small community. Soap opera executives maintain long memories about actors who publicly criticize production decisions, and such statements often result in industry-wide blacklisting that extends far beyond the original show. The financial implications also cannot be ignored. Maintaining a Los Angeles residence for sporadic filming while establishing permanent roots in Nashville creates an unsustainable economic burden that few actors can manage long-term. The cost of maintaining dual residences, combined with the irregular income associated with soap opera guest appearances, make such arrangements financially prohibitive for most performers. Stefan DiMera's legacy ends in Nashville. The character of Stefan DiMera, brilliantly portrayed by Barash since 2019, represented one of the most compelling additions to the show's roster in recent years. His complex relationship dynamics, particularly with Gabby Hernandez, created storyline possibilities that fans had hoped would continue for years to come. However, Barash's permanent relocation to Nashville has effectively closed the book on these narrative possibilities, leaving Stefan's story arc permanently unfinished. The timing of this move, coming just months after his controversial firing, sends a clear message to both fans and industry professionals that Barash has moved beyond his Days of Our Lives chapter. Rather than maintaining Los Angeles connections that might facilitate a potential return, he has chosen to establish completely new roots in a market that offers no proximity to soap opera production. This geographical finality, combined with his expressed loss of trust in the production team, creates a perfect storm of circumstances that makes Stefan DiMera's return virtually impossible. Unlike other soap opera characters who might return with different actors, Stefan's specific portrayal by Barash had created such a strong fan connection that recasting would likely prove unsuccessful. The Nashville move represents more than just a change of address, it's a complete career pivot that prioritizes family stability over the unpredictable world of daytime television. While fans continue to hold out hope for Stefan's return, the reality is that Brandon Barash's permanent relocation has effectively ended any possibility of reuniting with his Salem alter ego. In the unforgiving world of soap opera production, geography truly is destiny, and Nashville is simply too far from Salem for Stefan DiMera to ever find his way home again. Rachel speaks. A day in court that Salem will never forget. The air inside the Salem courthouse felt unusually heavy that morning, as though the walls themselves were bracing for the weight of the testimony to come. The benches sat in orderly rows, polished wood gleaming under the courtroom lights, but the sense of order was deceiving. Beneath the quiet hum of voices and shuffling papers was an undercurrent of tension, a thick, invisible thread pulling everyone's nerves taut. Johnny sat at the defense table, his hands clasped together so tightly his knuckles were white. His eyes, usually full of youthful charm and warmth, were distant, fixed on the empty rows in front of him. He wasn't alone for long. The heavy doors swung open, and in stepped Belle, her tailored suit immaculate, her step steady despite the obvious strain on her face. Johnny stood slightly, out of respect, but his expression was apologetic. "I'm sorry," he murmured, voice low but sincere. "I didn't mean to embarrass you with my testimony yesterday, about you and EJ." Belle paused, studying him for a moment. There was no anger in her gaze, only a tired acceptance. "Johnny," she said gently, "that wasn't your fault. Your father put us in that position." He shook his head. "I hate what I did to you, Aunt Belle. I know how much EJ loves you, and I don't know if you'll ever forgive me." Her reply was measured, calm, but final. "What's done is done. And it's not coming back." The two stood there for a moment, silent, their eyes locked in mutual understanding. Around them, the machinery of the court creaked into motion, the bailiff giving quiet instructions, lawyers flipping through files, the judge's bench looming above it all like a sentinel. When Judge Dabney entered, the room fell into an expectant hush. She adjusted her robes and looked directly at the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began firmly, "I am instructing you to disregard certain personal testimony from the attorneys in this case. That testimony will be stricken from the record." A faint murmur passed through the gallery, but the judge continued without pause. "Given the extent of media coverage and leaks to social media, I have no choice but to sequester you. Until a verdict is reached, you will remain in a hotel, without access to your phones. All communication with family will be monitored." This pronouncement caused a ripple of discomfort among the jurors, but none spoke, except Leo. From his seat, he suddenly stood, his voice cutting through the courtroom. "Objection, Judge." Judge Dabney's piercing gaze swung toward him, and the room seemed to hold its breath. Leo faltered, muttering, "Recuse," before slumping back into his chair. The judge's eyes lingered on him for a moment longer before she moved on. Out in the hallway, the real emotional storm was brewing. Kristen was there, her arms wrapped protectively around her young daughter, Rachel. The girl was trembling, her face pale. Kristen bent down, holding her tightly. "You'll be fine," she whispered, though her own voice was strained. "Just tell the truth." A bailiff appeared and gestured for Rachel. Kristen had to let go, watching as the small figure was led toward the courtroom doors. Inside, Brady and Marlena sat waiting, their expressions carefully composed. They gave Rachel small, encouraging nods as she passed. Once on the witness stand, Rachel looked smaller than ever. Belle approached, her tone controlled but insistent. "Rachel, tell the court what you saw that night," she began. Rachel's voice was soft, but the words carried. "I saw my cousin Johnny, he was pointing a gun at Uncle EJ. The room seemed to freeze. Then I ran upstairs. A few seconds later, I heard a gunshot." Belle's voice sharpened. "Do you think Johnny shot EJ?" Before Rachel could answer, EJ rose from his seat. "Objection." His voice cut through the tension like a blade. Belle hesitated, then backed away from the question. When it was EJ's turn to question his niece, his tone was markedly different, gentle, coaxing. "Rachel," he asked, "was there enough time between when you saw me and Johnny, and when you heard the gunshot? For Johnny to have left the scene, and for someone else to have pulled the trigger?" Rachel considered the question carefully before answering. "Yes." EJ turned to the jury with a subtle, almost triumphant smile. "That's all I needed to know." Judge Dabney's gaze shifted to Belle. "Counselor, do you wish to revise your line of questioning?" Belle's lips tightened. She said nothing. As the proceedings wound down for the day, EJ leaned toward Johnny, whispering something the jury couldn't hear. Johnny's tense posture eased, just slightly. On the witness stand, Rachel remained still, her eyes scanning the room. But there was something in her expression, something unreadable, almost secretive. And in that moment, it became clear to everyone watching, this trial was far from over. The truth might yet be twisted, new revelations might shatter the defense, and the real story of who pulled the trigger was still hiding in the shadows. For now, though, all Salem could do was wait.